All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. We always want to be mindful of everyone's time. So we may have some others that join here shortly and then just jump in. But again, this is our third session. Peter's going to kind of explain kind of where we are in the book. Last week we focused more on principle two. We're going to go back up and pick up principle one tonight, and then we'll get back on track next week. So um, just buckle up because what Peter's going to share with you tonight around why we buy, it's not about need, it's about emotions. So tune in. We're also going to cover a little bit about what we talked about a month ago and about building out your spending plan. So we'll talk some about that as well. So with that, I'm going to ask John to open us up in prayer, and then we'll turn it over to Peter.
All right. Lord, we just thank you for this opportunity, such a blessing and favor that's being poured out over our lives. We just ask that you'd open our hearts, our minds to be able to grasp it, to be able to take hold of it and implement it in our lives, Lord, that we can be a blessing to others. And just be with Peter as he presents tonight. And we just thank you for him and his life and his willingness to pour into us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Man,
Amen. Great to be with you. Goodness. Let me share a great thought with you. So I want you to read this with me. I'll read it for you as well, but I want you to think about what this means to us when we talk about controlling our spending, when we talk about how money is so emotional. But this is an absolute law in the universe. In the absence of clearly defined goals, we're forced to concentrate on activity and ultimately we become enslaved by it. So, getting things done, being productive, and being busy are two different things. So, let me just review principle two. When you track it, you control it. And you can envision your three-legged stool because we're going to go up back to principle one in just a few minutes about how emotional money is. But the way you find out how emotional it is in your life is to do this three-legged stool. And the first thing you do is you go back 12 months and look back. Then you forecast for the next month for your income and spending. And then you track and you compare. You track your income and your spending. And so there's when we talk about now, you all should have done this. So let me so has anybody had a wonderful experience or a bad experience in building your spending plan from our last discussion? Anybody want to comment on a spending plan? What you might have learned?
Well, there's a lot you uncover when you go back for 12 months and look at all the different categories, and it's surprising actually. Like some of the categories you get really surprised by how much you're spending in that particular category. And it really gets your brain starting to go like, okay, like do we need to spend that much in that category? And how could we, you start coming up with maybe some different things that you could do or strategies to maybe curb some of it from one category and maybe move it to another category that might make a bigger dent in your debt or whatever it is. So, I mean, I thought it was great because of everything it revealed, and some of that it revealed was like, oh, okay, all right, that's an eye opener. So, but it is really good.
So I know you may have done this hundreds of times, but all of you have your hands. Would you just fold your arms for a second? And as you fold your arms, I want you to take your right hand and is it on the bottom or on the top of your arm, your left arm?
The top.
Top.
Now, would you just change, take it and put it just the opposite? How does it feel?
Very awkward.
So what Cindy just talked about is we just talked about habits. And we get in these habits. I'm talking about financial habits. I'm talking about decisions, the way we make decisions. And if we don't break that apart, so I'll go back and share again just where we were. I just didn't want you to, I just wanted you to feel. So when you go back 12 months and you see where you've spent your money, you identify your income, of course, first, and then where you spent the money for all 12 months. And that's called the look back. But when you do that, it starts to, it's like you putting a financial mirror in front of yourself. And that's what I want. I want you to have that emotional experience to say, because I know many of you are doing really well and you have savings, you've got all kinds of wonderful things financially organized and so forth. But if you continually tear yourself apart, the way that you look at things and put yourself back together, you're in control. You're the quarterback. You're running the thing. It's an amazing thing what happens, just like what Cindy identified. So then when you use the look back to forecast your next month income and spend, as you then track that, you can say, oh, I see. I didn't realize I was a spender, or I didn't realize that my spouse felt this way. Or, and so that's why it's so important to do the three-legged stool. I can have a picture of it, but you get the point. And so this is a big deal, the huge thing. I know it's in the book, but I want you to understand. I'm now showing you why principle one is the beginning of everything. Is because a disease of consumerism. Now it's in your book. You can read it again, and I wished you would. But let's just go through this here for a couple of things. Look, the disease of modern consumerism, just the red ink now. The average American now receives personalized product recommendations based on their browsing history, their location data, and even their emotional state as determined by an artificial intelligence. So they track when you spend. So if you do anything on Amazon, for example, if it's 11 o'clock at night, and then what did you buy at 11 o'clock at night? They put all that in an algorithm and you don't have a chance. Buy now, pay later. And then you can do it in so many different ways to pay for it. Okay, so keep going here. I'm talking about a disease. It truly is a sickness. And we all get a part of it. And if we don't tear ourselves apart and realign ourselves, like, why do you take your car in and get it realigned? If you don't, the tires wear out so fast and you have to get new tires all the time. So here's this digital ecosystem that we live in. It's designed to exploit your emotional vulnerabilities. Do you believe that?
Sure.
Have any of you had that
Oh,
experience?
yeah, sure.
So this
100%.
the FOMO, the fear of missing out, so amazing. Your social comparisons, and I think to compare, you're just asking for disaster. And I mean it's personal, but and I've shared it with you. I'll share it with you in different ways. The reason we're studying this, how emotional money is because I was I was engulfed in these flames, and I spent 28 major surgeries in 3.5 years. Over 3.5 years, I spent in the hospital bed, laying in a stupid bed, about 1 year and 3 months total over a 3.5 year period. And if you don't have some sense of who you are and what you stand for and what your goals are and what you want to do, you're asking for nothing but discouragement and everything. It was a blessing to be able to have morphine. I had to have morphine. Losing 50% of your skin, the pain was beyond explanation. And many times I'd pass out with pain. So they give me the morphine, and the most I could have is every 4 hours. And it really helped for about an hour. And then it would wear down, wear out. And that last hour was, again, back to hell on earth. And they'd give me another shot. Well, can you imagine what that did to me after I had a shot of morphine every 4 hours for about 8 months? And you know what that is? I mean, become a drug addict. And then they got worried. They said, what are we going to do with him? So this clear back in the 60s. So I'm just saying to you, I got in bad habits. And so I just had you do this little fold your arm thing here, just so you could, in a quick hurry, realize that the way you think about money, the way you discuss money, the way you plan about your money, and is eventually you turn it over to this digital world that we live in. And I really like, I suggested it in the first, it's in print, it's in this book, it says use pen and paper, please. Until you get the principle down, but pen and paper make you have to do something in your brain to get your fingers to work and wiggle and make your thing. So you have to crystallize your thinking. So the best blessing in my life was to be burned and lay in the hospital for so long. Because why? I had time to think. And I propose that very few people take time to truly think. And so I really learned what an incredible blessing that was to me. So I really got to know myself. And I'm just submitting to you that when you have this, when you come back up to this, in this saying here, I want you to, this is a guiding light for me. The absence of clearly defined goals. We're forced to concentrate on activity. So a budget is activity. You plan it out and all that. And then when things change, it's rigid and you can't go through. So the spending plan, you'll learn as you do this over and over and over and over. Imagine you're only 1 month away of making some corrections from what you ill spent a month ago. And what happens is that you're going to be changing your values, you're going to change your priorities, you're going to change your goals little by little by little as life keeps coming. Life's going to keep coming. Life is always coming. And so here's a system. You can use it with everything, not just with money, not with just, but so I'm back to this thing here. I want you to understand that it is truly a major problem is that we have all got shots occasionally, some more often than others, of morphine. And this disease of consumerism is a really, it's real, and we need to do whatever we can do to stop it. Okay. That's really a key item. Okay. So now let's open it up for just a brief discussion, if you don't mind. I'm going to stop sharing and just ask some questions. As you've gone through and read some examples and everything, what are you in agreement that money is emotional? Let's start right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How emotional can it get?
Incredible. Oh, no.
That can drive your whole life.
Can't it have an impact as much as morphine?
Sure.
Yeah.
I had a really good friend from Arizona, and we had some activities out on the beach in California, Stinson Beach. And he got a call and he said, you got to excuse me. I said, we're just about ready to go snorkeling here. And he said, and he started to cry. And his mom and dad owned a large grocery store chain. And she'd gotten a bad habit of stealing clothes. She'd go into women's clothing and she would get caught. And she got arrested several times. And they said, if you get caught again, you're going to prison. She got caught again. And so she had a date certain in 2 days to be in prison for 6 months. And so she wanted to come and say hi to her son. And it just happened so fast. And they caught her and convicted her. And so anyway, and he said, he went and hugged her and said goodbye. And I mean, in a very wealthy family, she didn't need to steal. She had plenty of money. She had plenty, and yet she would devise all kinds of things. I mean, isn't that a silly thing? I mean, isn't that a sad story? But why would she do that?
Some
That's
emotional
relevant.
gratification or something.
So let me suggest something that happens to all of us.
Yes.
If you don't see what income you're coming in the front door and you're not tracking what goes out the back door, how are you doing?
Not good.
You don't know.
Not good. And so when we get too tired to do that, we'll do that tomorrow. And you put that off long enough, then you really don't have a sense of where you're at. So people will buckle down and do a budget. They'll just quickly throw things together and they'll have it. They build it, but they don't have a system when things change to reprioritize on the fly. And so this spending system allows you. You've already established everything. You went back 12 months. You know clearly where you've been, and so you forecast forward. And now you're saying, "Oh, things just changed." My children have they've been accepted to be on a comp team, a soccer team, a competitive soccer team, and the expense is now 2,000 a month for the coach and for travel and everything like that. And now what are you going to do? If you don't have the money, do you want to deprive your son or daughter of going to being on a comp team, of a prestigious competition team? How emotional is that?
Very.
Yeah.
Okay,
Peter?
so yes.
I just kind of wanted to, I don't speak much here, but part of it's I'm driving. But
Okay.
most people know that I work very closely with Peter. Um, I do the put a lot of things together for the fitness portion of it, and I'm just same thing is that if you don't track, and that's why that we're talking here, and you don't track. People are so out of it in their they don't know what they're eating. They'll eat anything because they're hungry. They're emotional that way, and so it works the same way. We eat things or we spend things because it feels good in the moment, and we don't know what we should be eating or should be spending or things like that. I was just wanting to, um, I'm going to tell on myself here a little bit.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we don't share the same bank accounts. Partially
How come?
because she has a total entire different mindset with money than I do, and her money, she's going to be out of money, and so she, she doesn't like me seeing her bank account either, and I don't care, but she has, a surplus. She has a big surplus, but she always feels like she's going to be out. She's retiring here,
So Don, let's talk about that.
that's
So
fine.
the reason I covered the tracking so quickly, so much up front, I wanted you to have an emotional experience so quickly. Didn't want you to wait. And when you go back 12 months, you start learning about yourself very, very quickly. And especially when you forecast forward and you try and compare. So my focus right now is on principle one, that money is emotional. And in that specific thing, I'm now bringing it to your attention. When people don't save money, they don't have enough money to save and not saving on a regular basis. They feel really poor about themselves. So let me talk about emotional about money. I go and spend 40 hours a week. I make some money, but I don't have a system by which to account for the money I spend. So I'm now spending my money. Now, let me say it a different way. Aren't I spending my life? Question.
Yeah.
I just spent hours making the money. Haven't I just processed and spent my life? So think about it. When you are spending your money, you're spending the time you work to make that money. And so if you don't hold yourself in high esteem and you don't value your time, then that's what's going to happen is you're going to spend your time making the money, but it's going to be frittered away. You will not have excess money to save. So I want to give you three countries. The United States, up until about 10 years ago, they saved a negative 1% per year. They spent 1% more than they made as a nation for the last 30 years prior to about 2015. I don't think you knew that. A country that saves 12% of their income is Japan. They're one of the highest. But as a country, they said we've got to have money in the banking system because that's money in motion creates more money. And so they force everybody to save money because they charge them a 25% tax on the money they should have saved. If they don't save any money, they can't pay 25% in tax. So in addition to that, the people who do save, there is no interest paid on savings in Japan, but they get to save the 25% they would have been taxed. So Japan, the people are saving money, not getting a return on it for a silly system that's what they do. Italy, they save 22% of their income. And the reason they do that is they've never had a social security system. They've never had a pension. They've never had any kind of retirement plan ever proposed. And so when you're born until you die in Italy, you're responsible for your own makeup, your own financial stability. So in Italy, they have other problems, but I'm just saying in this case, they do save money out of their income. And so again, back to you change you're folding your arms in a certain way, felt uncomfortable. Uh, every nation, every state, every community, every family, that we have our systems, we have the way that we think through things. And now I'm making a big case that once and for all, I'll keep re-emphasizing it over and over and over, is that money is emotional. And if you want to learn how to handle anything in your business, anything in taxes, anything in the way you handle your debt, the way you handle investments, is just understand your emotional coefficient so that you can see how you think, and then you really can do well. You can because you'll see yourself as you really are. You're looking in your mirror and you're saying, "Oh, I didn't know that was me, and I'm really a dingling here, and I see that I'm out here." So when you see yourself as you really are, you make such good decisions. So the disease of consumerism, when it's coming at you, and you have these algorithms that are and you're buying according to that, and you get on Amazon, and it's just so easy, and you just buy things, and that. So I'm going to find an artist, a painter, but I would just like all of you to just think of something. Tonight, when we get done with here, just pick your garage, pick your trunk of your car, or pick your closet, or pick a junk drawer, any of them, and you just go in and say, how many things do I have that I don't use? But at the time I bought them, I thought they were pretty important. And I just I just have a supposition. If we took all the stuff that we don't need, that we thought were important to us a while back, and we took it and all of us put it out on the ocean, just right out on the, and it floats, everything, whether it's a golf bag with clubs in it or whatever, but it floats. Everything that we put out there floats. What would the ocean look like?
Nasty.
There you go, Sam.
Okay. Would there be enough for a boat to come into the harbor?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, so you think about what it means when people die, and then the family comes in to declutter. Have any of you had that experience where the decluttering is a mess?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, but doesn't that really emphasize the point that I'm making, that money is so darned emotional. So first and foremost, it's emotional. How emotional would this be when Richard, age 58, he has 12 grand in his IRA and he's not healthy and he's going to have to retire? Do any of you know when you could start Social Security if you needed to? What age?
59 and a half.
62.
Mm.
It increases, whatever your benefit is, it increases by 8% until age 70. So if you did have a $2,000 a monthly benefit at age 62, it would go up by 8% or $160 per year. And so you could do the math. Problem with it is when you take out the money at 62 is that for every $2 you earn, you lose $1 of your Social Security benefit. The money isn't gone forever. They just put it in escrow. So when you get to age 67 or your life, when you get to your maturity in Social Security, they call it, but you can then you get all that money back. So you would, if it was $2 grand a month, for example, you would get the 24 grand a year for the 62, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you don't lose it permanently. You just lose it for the moment. Anyway, my point is that Richard had a very difficult time and he didn't know what to do. And so he brought that emotional drama to me and said, what can I do? He's very, very smart. He really understood stocks and really well. And there was a trading program. So I said, you might try to see if you can use the 12 grand to trade with and make money on the 12 grand. It took him 2 years and he got pretty darn good. So he wakes up at 5 in the morning. He goes about 5 hours till 8 to 10 o'clock. So 5 to 10 every morning. And he makes about 3 grand a month, coupled with the Social Security benefit. And he's doing okay financially. So that's how he did it. That's kind of wild. But how emotional was it for Richard?
Extremely.
How intent was he about learning how to trade?
Extremely.
Extremely. Yeah. So I have a dentist. He's very, very good. His net take home is about 222 grand a year. He's got an essential tremor. Do you know what that is?
Can't hold a stand still.
Yeah, your hands shake.
And so if you're trying to have a mirror so you can see what you're doing in the mouth and it shakes, you can't see what you're doing because the mirror is shaking. Yeah, got it. What's that going to do with his practice?
He no longer has one.
When it gets just a little bit more serious and pronounced, it's going to be a major problem. He's 57. What would you recommend?
Mm.
Education.
Yeah, he needs to get somebody. He needs to get somebody to replace him.
His father had the same and had to retire early. Same thing. So apparently,
My question
probably
Peter, would be, what is his lifestyle like? Like, is he living? Is he spending?
Everything.
Is he saving? Is he spending all he's making? I mean, he's making a lot of money.
You guys are sharp. And so wouldn't you go back and see what you did for the last 12 months and forecast forward?
Yeah, he needs to start savings.
And start changing everything.
Yeah.
He'll have to make some changes, don't you think?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if he hasn't been going back 12 months, forecasting forward, tracking control for the last 10 years, how difficult it is for him to make good decisions?
Impossible.
Impossible. So because of the emotionally charged issue is there, but now let's suppose he has actually built a spending plan. He watched it every month, made slight adjustments, little by little by little. And then, so today, what could he do? What could he have done in the last 10 years when this essential tremor started to develop and because he's tracking and he sees his income and everything, what could he have done?
Make changes, make wise decisions.
Go make one for him. Just play like you're the dentist. What could you do to retain somehow to save your dental practice?
Find a way to train somebody to work with you.
Another dentist,
Yeah.
and maybe split, or have them do the dental work, and you've got the patients. He's got about 585 active patients, and he's got a great clientele. They love him. So so in so if he was used to spending 222 grand every year and not saving anything, how difficult will it be for him to emotionally make that change?
Impossible.
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 This is a silly question. I mean, it's rhetorical in nature, but how many of us know what the future holds?
No,
No.
And what about if we don't have a spending plan and we haven't been doing it back 3, 5, 10, 15 years? Uh, what might happen in our future?
We might be in the same place.
For a different reason entirely, but still the very same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I just realized, Peter, is that when you talk about money as emotional, there's certain things when I think about that, or when I think about being barraged by ads or wanting to have what the Joneses have or anything like that, I feel like that doesn't bother me very much. So that is not an emotional part of mine. But when I have to sit down and
Yeah.
keep track,
That's
when I
different.
get to talk with my bride about what we're doing, or when she talks to me, it's emotional.
Oh,
So there are different aspects of emotional that come into play here. The spending, I don't think is a huge emotional thing for me, but when you sit down and talk about what you've done, it's really emotional.
oh, and so when we're now talking about principle one, that money is emotional. And and so all my material that I've created is so that people understand that it has nothing to do with investing. You probably have to still invest money in things, but won't you, when you're in control of your emotions from your spending point and getting out of debt, don't you think you'll make better decisions on investing?
Absolutely.
Because see, they all bump into each other. These principles they overlap in every regard. I was helping a family and they had tons of debt, 27 different debts, 27. Some of them were minimal, like $300, but they still had it. They were paying $20 a month and all this. And I go, why don't you just get rid of the stupid, all these little stuff? And they said, well, really? So they put together the money they had and they paid it off. So they only had 3 debts. They went from literally 29 debts to 3.
Wow.
Mortgage, and that. Next month, they said, I had no idea what how peaceful life could be. They always worried about that $20 payment get made, or do I have to have a penalty on that $20 of a debt of 300? So stupid. And so they cleared all that up and they're free. They feel free. They still have the 3 debts, but now they're fully dedicated. Another family. This spending plan went back 12 months. They were spending $912 a month on eating out. Now, I know Don, he's a fitness expert and he knows all about food and nutrition and things. I'm just saying, if you eat out all the time, how's your health?
Not good.
No. So can you see, I hope that when you, okay, let's take a basketball game, say an NBA playoffs, you watch a game, but they don't keep score. How fun is that game? In other
Doesn't
words,
matter. It doesn't matter.
but today, I hope you're recommitting that you literally will build a spending plan where you go back, forecast forward, track and compare, make your adjustments. And then you do it for a business. And then you might do it for anybody that you're helping. Maybe you have an elderly parent, you would help them do that. And so there's no substitute for knowing where you're at. So I'm going to, I want to just go back to where we started. Can you see how important this statement is? In the absence of clearly defined goals and objectives, and we are forced to concentrate on activity and ultimately become enslaved by it. So once we get so busy running around talking about 29 debts, you become enslaved at it. And they didn't realize they could actually stop the train and get off. And when they did, the peace immediately came to them, immediately. And so when you say you don't have a problem with the spending and that, but somebody else does, and some people don't have any problem with debts and things like that, but other people do. And I'm just so anxious for you all to really have a tool, what's in front of us right now, to understand principle one, that is money is so darned emotional. And so financial experts, somebody who's managing your portfolio on the stocks, do you think they're going to help you with this right here?
Absolutely not.
You have a real estate agent, maybe a good friend, something, and they encourage you to buy real estate. And real estate's wonderful and all that, and so forth. The question: does that real estate person have anything to do with what's on this page right in front of us?
Nothing.
Nothing. Now go back to what I learned after I laid in the hospital for a year and more. I had plenty of time to think about what's right on this page. How much debt did I have? How much money could I do to pay them off and make sure where can I put that money so it's working for me while I'm laying in a bed? And so when I got out of the hospital and I didn't look presentable, nobody would hire me. I was really sad. I'll speed up the story quickly for you. I was really sad. Best thing that ever happened to me, nobody hired me. Why?
You didn't need anybody else to be your employer. You
I
made
had
yourself.
I learned to be resilient. And so I have created many businesses, love them. I wish I could do them all. So let's just take the analogy here. So I'll stop sharing and tell you, somebody in financial trouble, it's like being in a rowboat and they're out in the ocean, maybe a length of a football field, and the wave comes and it tips them over. They don't have a life jacket and they're treading water. And if you can tread water, if you're skilled at it, you can get your head up and look around, see what direction the shore is, and you can head for the shore. And those that aren't not that skilled, they're barely keeping their nose above the water and barely surviving. But if an essential trimmer comes along, they're dead. And so we don't know when that next wave's coming. And it's really important for us to have tools and the ability to get up just a little bit so we can look where the shore is and use our energy to go to the shore. Because if we don't, we can't tread water forever. And now I'll open it up here just after I make one more point. So as a nation, do we have a income problem or do we have a spending problem?
Spending.
Spending. We make plenty of money.
We might also have a tracking problem. We don't know. We might more than just a spending problem, but we don't know what we're doing.
That's right. So how valuable would it be if our nation, our Congress, senators could put together, go back and see where we spend our money and forecast forward, track and control and not overspend?
I wonder if they would do that.
Yeah.
Well, let me add this is my observation. I could be missing it a little bit, but when everybody gets to retirement, 92% are totally dependent on Social Security for their income. That's according to the Social Security Administration. The Social Security came about in 1935 during the Great Depression. The heart of it was in the mid-30s, and World War II came along and kind of helped save us because money started spending and the women started entering the workplace and things like that. I'm just submitting to you that when you have when you don't realize what's happening while it's happening, we don't do anything about it. But in 1935, it was 1% of your income up to $3,000. Do any of you know what the tax is today and the limit that that's taxed on? It's 15.3% on 167,000.
Wow.
So when a doctor in the 50s became my client in the 70s, and I went back over to Social Security, his payout was $500 a month, but he made the maximum income for Social Security because during his working days, his maximum income, we was paying 1.7% on $10,000 a year, and then there was no more contribution that he had to make. They kept increasing the amount that's going to get taxed on, and they kept increasing the amount of tax from 1%. Now it's 15.3. The government for the last 15, 20 years have said we probably shouldn't raise the tax on Social Security any more than 15.3 because we're going to get hung. And so now they just keep raising it on the amount of money, the 167,000. And so it was when, went up to in the 40s and the 80s and the 100 and 127 for a while. And anyway, and the 167 may continue to be increased. Okay, so how emotional is it when you get to retirement and your only source of income, monthly income, is Social Security?
Pretty emotional.
Very.
I may be redundant, but let me ask you one more time. What is the solution so that does not happen to you?
Track it. Have a
Not
better.
have to depend upon it.
Create your financial mirror so you can see yourself as you really are and make the right decisions. So I shared with you this incredible thing that if we're not clear about what we want, we're going to be forced to just be stuck in activity and be busy, busy, busy. So many people are busy, busy, busy making money, but they are not saving it. They're not saving it for the future. So next time we're going to focus on principle 3. We're going to talk about there is no such thing as saving. It's all delayed spending. We're going to reinforce principle 2. When you track it, you control it. We're going to reinforce spending so that every month you spend 100% of your income every month. So you probably already know how to do it, but just let me help you revisit how you spend money. You take a $5 bill and hand it to a youth, and I think they can spend it. No problem. I think everybody knows how to spend, but I'm talking about a different kind of spending so you can spend it in a way that benefits your life down the road. So I'm a big advocate of being organized. And what that means is that when something happens to, let me say it a different way. If you're a good leader of a company, leader of your family, a good leader, the definition of a good leader is that when the leader leaves, nothing changes. So I'm a huge advocate of getting organized and organizing the way that you do things and the people you work with and your associates in a way that when you go away for vacation or you pass away, that nothing changes. And so when we get a little closer to principle 8 and talk about getting organized and that, I'm going to in there as a specific treatment, you can jump ahead if you wish, but about decluttering, but also is how you would set up a family legacy that would live for 100 years. So you not only bless yourself and you bless your family and you have money for retirement while you're living, it continues on. And that's the sign of a true leader, is that you set things in motion so things don't change even though you go away. Do you think that's a valid goal?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Absolutely.
So it's one thing when you're doing karate and you have this board and they say you're going to break, you got to chop this board. If you don't really break the board, you just broke your hand. So to me, if I pick this goal, I might have gone insane while I laid there in that hospital. I probably did. But when you have a goal, I learned to set this objective out there, that if I accomplish that one objective, all of these other things happen. In other words, I couldn't achieve that goal unless everything else was in alignment. And so if you can plan for building your legacy in such a way financially and your family values and so everything that's important to you, if you build it in such a way that it lives on for generations, to me, you'll have lived a wonderful life. You'll have the opportunity to and be at peace with so many things in your life, even though life and problems keep coming. So I know this is a course about money, but these 10 principles are immense. These principles, money's emotional. Well, what about eating? What about being heavy? What about now you're not healthy? How emotional is not being able to be active with your family? You're feeling, can't even get on the floor with them and play with them. I'm just saying, and so everything, all these 10 principles that you're learning and applying them to money, you're going to get really good at applying them to every part of your life. It's amazing. They go along and help you with every other place. Always look at the big picture. Principle 7. We'll get there. But when you understand that principle, you can apply it to everything and so forth. So if I'm selling anything, I'm selling principles. I think that these to learn these principles and apply them. And so when you look at my assignments and you see this and you read it and you say, on page 37, it's called The Power of Giving, Rewiring Your Money Emotions. If you have excess money where you can give it away, tithing for your church, you can give it to nonprofit organizations, you can help a family member out that really needs help. When you do that, it changes your catalytic converter in your head. You become abundant in your mindset. You have purpose in all your connections. You have gratitude. You'll find that on page 37. But the gratitude, so you'll have an attitude of gratitude forever. And that just changes the way you look at yourself. You're more humble, you're more teachable, you're more moldable and you don't get so caught up in yourself and say it's my way or the highway. Anyway, yeah, I'm submitting to you that you have a ton of stuff in here that if you read it and do it and you say it's a little, you've done it and you've got a good control of it, then that's okay. You just skip it and go on to the next one. But more important is that you go through every part of these principles so you can really understand each principle. Now, we covered one today and about money is emotional. And the tool to get at that problem is principle 2 is track it. You want to set up, but you can't really do a good job of tracking unless you go back the 12 months. People many times don't have a good record. They don't have the records to even go back 12 months. They can't even go back 3 months. So that's a big indication that you have a problem. So if you'll forecast forward the best you can, a month at a time, and you do track, then in 12 months, you will then have a 12-month record. So you won't be able to get the blessings of understanding the emotionality around circles around money in every regard, but it'll take you 12 months to get there. But in any regard, I'm just submitting to you, principle 1 is so powerful because it affects everything. Principle 2, when you track it, you have a system by which you can understand your emotions, your own personality of emotions. So I'll end with that, but let's just open up for any questions and answers.
Peter, you alluded or you talked about Social Security. Would you just, I'm curious to know what your philosophy is on that, like taking it early versus taking it later. Or do you feel like it's, I mean, obviously there's things that drive that decision, but in general, do you feel like it's better to wait, or then there's a whole group of people that's like, no, you have to live to be 90 to make up that difference. So start taking it right away. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
When people make a decision on Social Security, if you make it improperly, you're going to lose 140 grand. So here's how you make a good decision on Social Security. You make sure you have a spending plan for the last 10 years. and then and then you assess your health and how healthy you are. Realize that you used to have a system so you could have your Social Security and your husband's, but that doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't for about 3 years. So if the husband dies, then the highest amount of Social Security benefit, you would select that. You only get one of them. So usually there's a haircut. If say the benefit to the wife is $1,500 a month and the husband's $3,000, and the husband dies, then the wife would get $3,000 and lose her $1,500. Okay, so if in the event that the wife wants to turn on her income, even at age 62, for example, early, and get as much as she can before her husband dies, because then when she dies, she won't get it at all. And it's not about reclaiming the money, it's gone because the husband died. So it has to do with timing, which we don't all know when that timing is. But if you're in bad health, you need to make things a little bit different. Have you ever heard of a concept called pension maximization? So there's a Boeing International up in Seattle. Client called me. We're working through his numbers on retirement, and it was $4,000 a month. It was pretty exciting. I said, but what if you added your wife? And he said, what do you mean? I said, do you have a wife? I know her. And he said, oh, I don't know. So he went and added his wife, and the $4,000 a month, if it was based on two people, would be $2,500 a month. So what would you do? Take the $4,000 and hope you don't die?
Or 2,500 for each? Is that what the?
No, it's 2,500 total. They give you a haircut if you are going to pay the 2,500 for the life of two people.
Oh, so you're saying that if you select the two people, you get 2,500,
And not 4,000.
but you get 2,500. Whoever
That's right.
lives the longest continues to get it, right?
Yeah. So what would you do?
Take the 4,000.
I guess it depends on who's
And to
in good
live
health or
longer
not.
than
Yeah, what if
men.
the wife is really ill, sickly, been in the hospital a ton, and has terminal cancer?
Oh, I would keep the 4,000.
Keeps it 4,000. Now you with me? Let's supposing they're both healthy, no way of knowing. What is possible is to take the $4,000 for the husband, but take 1,500 and buy some life insurance that would far and exceed the 2,500 a month. It would get back to $4,000 a month. So now they only have 2,500 to live on because they're using 1,500 of it to go over to the life insurance company. You with me? But when he dies, then what?
Pay
Now you
out.
have tax-free money that's going to exceed, and you're going to be back to the $4,000 a month for life for the wife.
Mhm.
So it's called pension, where you're maximizing your pension with the Boeing International decision. Okay, Social Security is similar. You're going to have a $3,000, maybe 1,500 on the other part spouse. So you could use the difference. Again, you can make that decision more effectively, more efficiently, if you really had a history on your tracking your income and spending for at least 3, 4, 5 years prior, hopefully longer. So another thing that is huge is once your health changes, it kind of changes everything. And it changes your considerations. And many times with a health change, even if you need home care, that costs a lot of money. And if you needed long-term care, that's a bunch of money, you know that. But sometimes if your health changes and you need to get a jazzy or, you need to have some other kind of mobility, that can be expensive and add to your money to your retirement, expense to your retirement that you didn't plan on. Does that help answer the question, Cindy?
Becky.
Yeah, in our case, I started taking it right before I hit 65.
That's good.
So,
I assume
yeah, so, but I,
But it's interesting that you said about buying health insurance or insurance
Yeah.
because we don't do anything with that money right now. I mean, it gets tucked away. Maybe
now.
that's a thing to look at.
Exactly. Yeah. And so,
okay, yeah, because it's only, yeah, it's not earning a ton of interest, but you're saying that would be a way of making it grow faster.
okay, Bert, I'm out of the sun. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I am a master coach for Dave Ramsey, just so you know.
All right.
I went through all of his training, met with him. We went to, he had a 3-year training course and paid him his tuition and all that. And I got to be with him and for a week. And I asked him straight up on why are you so down on whole life? Because I took his policy that he uses and the guarantee on the cash value is 2.5%, and there are no dividends. There's no participation. When the insurance companies invested that money and they make a surplus above the 2.5%, they don't, the policyholder doesn't get any. If you were to use a mutual company like Northwestern Mutual, Massachusetts Mutual, New York Life, Guardian, those are the only four, but then the policyholders are the dividend recipients. So if there's surplus above the 4% guarantee, not 2.5%, and so Dave went back and used a 35-year-old contract with a very lousy insurance company, and that's what he uses to say, look at this versus what's available to you. So I said, Dave, you understand that there's other products out there that are 10 times better than one you're using. And he said, oh yeah, I do, but I don't get into the details. And I go, oh, well, you do get into the details because you say whole life stupid. Anyway, so when you run a whole life, if it's properly structured, you can make it dance. You can make it do all kinds of wonderful things that far. Dave's big complaint is when you buy the whole life, you don't have a lot of cash in it. Say the premium's $3,000 a year, you wouldn't have even $3,000 of cash in it for 10 years. So you have put 30 grand in and maybe have 5 grand, 6, 7 grand. It fills up and catches up by the 15th, 20th year. And so he just doesn't think that's wise. He thinks it's better to have that invested in the market and make the money. So I said, okay, so what's your system? Buy term, best the difference. So he owns about 30% of Xander Life, and it's a term company. And I know it well. I know all these term companies across the nation. You keep track of that. But of all the term life insurance policies that have ever been issued, less than 1% have ever paid anything.
So nobody
Because
covered
actuarially,
Because they run out before they run out before anybody dies because they quit paying on them.
paying on the term.
so if somebody's got
I had a
some
bunch of those.
Pardon?
I had a couple of those.
Okay, I mean, just no fault. I'm just saying. It's
No,
nice.
I agree with you.
The
Okay,
insurance company knows how to work the system.
okay, but when you do whole life, if it's properly structured, the term life portion, the death benefit, is minimal. So there's no risk to the mutual company at all. It never is. The attractiveness of a mutual whole life policy is that it's the cash buildup and the dividend 6% tax free, and and then you got guarantees in it. So but when you add on like long term care rider, once you get a policy, you can add on $8, $9, $10,000 a month of tax-free death benefit from the death benefit. That's where it comes from. And so they know that you're going to die. They're going to pay the death claim. That they've issued you a policy. The power is that if you need home care or long-term care, they just pay it out of the death benefit. They don't touch your cash. So the premium to add a long-term care rider, for example, is like $200. Because all it is to pay the insurance company administration fee to cut checks every month until you die. So it's paying you before you die. My brother Jack had 750,000 with mutual company, and he had pancreatic cancer. They gave him 3 months to live. But inside of these policies, it says that if you are terminal illness, they'll accelerate your death benefit and they'll pay it to you before you die. So he got 750 grand before he passed away. And it's always tax-free. Death benefits are always statutorily tax-free. So anyway, he set up his trust. He set up everything. He set up his wife as well. They had other assets and they did a good job and all that. So he really did take care of her. He passed away at age 69. His wife got really sick, and for the last 8 years, she's been in a home care and needed a full-time service. And she just passed away 2 weeks ago. But because of my brother Jack's preparation, I'm just saying she was well taken care of. So you can do things with whole life that you can't do with term. And then term, the insurance companies spreads the risk out over millions of people. And you may win. You might, die in 3 years and they pay off your mortgage for 400,000.
I don't think that's winning.
Yeah, that's not winning. But I'm just saying, if you won at that game, then you're blessed. But the insurance company, I mean, that's just one person dying, not thousands. Anyway, enough of that. But when we get into principle 8, we talk about setting up and getting organized. It's really valuable to look at the big picture and really see all your options. And then you say, oh, but please understand today's lesson. It's really helpful if you can go back 12 months, forecast forward, and you track it. So once you have that kind of a track record, so you really know where you're at emotionally with money and the way that your savings are, then you can make a better decision when we get into principle 7, 8, and 9. So just a word about principle 9. Understanding taxation allows you to keep more of your money. In your spending plan on the right side, there's a check mark. It says, is it tax, has any impact on taxes? It says tax deductible. You just check the mark so that you can come back to it anytime you want. When you learn more about principle 9 and we're doing 9, and you go, oh, if you've check marked something in your spending planner on the right side where it says tax, then you'll be able to quickly go back to that and pull all those spending decisions together all at one time. And so tracking into using my system will bless your life in 9. Remember the principles all overlap. They're all overlap. So the way you spend your money, I can take a family that's spending income $6,000 into the family budget and they spend it and they get no tax savings. I could take the same money, the same spending to where they spent the money, structured it a little bit different, and they could deduct half of it from taxes.
Wow.
You got to have a business purpose. In other words, there's 2 tax systems. There's the W-2 employee, and then there's the business owner. Many business owners don't know how many wonderful benefits they have. And so if you will track it from day 1, I'm talking about principle 1, money's emotional. 2 is you track it. You're going to learn about being spending. Then we're going to talk about 3 next time, where we're saying there's no such thing as savings. It's all delayed spending. So now we're talking about spending 1, 2, and 3. Principle 1, 2, and 3 are all spending. Okay, but by doing it that way, when you get to 9 on taxes, you're going to save at least $3,000 or $7,000, $10,000 a year. Really, truly. And you're going to do it ethically. You're going to do it honestly. You're not going to stretch. You're not going to cheat. You're not going to. It really is powerful.
Excellent.
Okay. So I'm making a case for how the principles bump into each other. They overlap and they really, really help each other. And so when you get to 10, that's where Elite Mastermind comes in, because money in motion creates more money. So if you don't have a business, you really need to have one. And then you can take advantage of it. So many people get to retirement, have a 401k. They only understand the world of W-2 income, and then they retire. And if you look at, I've done this many times, love you to do the same and report back in this class, if you would. But when people get into their 70s and in their 80s, even though their income may be lower than when they were making the money, they pay more tax than when they were working. That's crazy.
Terrible.
You go to any accountant and say, pull up a retired person, 75, show me their income and what's the tax they pay on it. They don't have any deductions. They don't have a business. They don't have they don't have any way to change the way the money is treated. And as a result, they just pay a ton of tax. So that really, what we're talking about right now in terms of the way you track, go back, forecast, track, is going to set you up so that you can make a better decision on principle 10 in terms of what kind of a business do I want to have. Because you may not want to work at all, but you can get into a business where you don't work at all and still make some money.
Peter, you had to hear what Becky said. I mean,
What?
What'd you say, babe?
I said, I don't want to do that.
She
I
don't,
don't want
wanna
to pay
work?
more tax.
she don't want to pay
Oh.
more tax when she gets 370. I don't want to do that.
What I like to do is I like to create a business. So, John, you need to distribute babes in the workplace.
Yeah, Don just sent me a bunch.
Oh, good. Okay. So I hire my grandkids to declutter for my friends. Then we sell it on eBay. If you declutter, you're going to find stuff that can be sold on eBay. You know what I mean?
hmm
You mean tonight? Yeah, I might. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Okay, but and so when people pass away and the family declutters the whole thing, it's kind of can be really a chore. You don't know what's special and what to throw away and things like that. But it is really kind of fun when you're now starting getting organized, understand taxation, and you do have a small business of some sort, Becky, even if it's not, you don't have to do all the work. I'm just saying, hire somebody like grandchildren, let them do the work. Right?
She's got lots of businesses she can do. She just needs to understand how to run them in a way that she doesn't have to work hard. But she's good at that too. So, and she's
Okay.
got a business now. She does therapy for people. She's a speech therapist.
Oh,
And you can
that's
pay,
wonderful.
yeah, you can pay the grandchildren a lot and they don't have to pay much tax.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Then you put it in that special account for them, right, Peter?
yeah. So Becky, write down page 226. And when you get a minute, look over those various entities and the characteristics of them and choose which one fits you the best for your therapy business or whatever you wish. But you're going to find that that page right there has saved more businesses, more money than anything of any other page in this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this book. Okay, just so you know, in general, after teaching this for a long time, decades, every page in this book, when you get all done, is worth 140 bucks on average. Some pages aren't worth anything, but other pages are worth 3 grand. So you got like 295 pages or such. Yeah, 284. And I did the calculation on my other clients and said, okay, how much money you say we added it all up and divide by 284? It came out $140 a page. That's what this course is worth. Some of those pages you may already be implementing and doing well. I'm sure that you are, but some of them you haven't. It will be new to you. I'm just the custodian, guys. I'm not anything special. I'm just saying that I've made every mistake That's how all my mistakes is right. The solutions are right here in this book. It really is. I'm serious. Really, really fun. Okay. Now we
That's
have
great.
another date certain. We our next date is just for questions and answers. It's not for to cover it. Is going to be towards the end of May on the 28th. Same time, be 5 Mountain, 6 Central, and 7 o'clock Eastern. Okay. So please bring your questions. Bring them. Let's and then we'll go right to the page and we'll answer them. Okay.
Peter, I have a quick question. On the spending plan builder, do you have a resource somewhere? Maybe it's in the book somewhere, but a resource somewhere where it kind of recommends percentages for the categories. I'll say your mortgage, 25% of your income, and your auto. Do you have something like that, or?
No, I don't. I don't purposely because I find that everybody's so different.
Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah,
And we all have a different financial personality,
right.
actually.
Okay. And then the other question I had on the spending plan builder, there doesn't seem to be a category for like mortgage on there. So is that included in one of the categories you do have
mean, it's-
listed
In the spending plan, you mean?
in the spending plan builder?
Okay, let me see here.
Like there is it at number 19 says rent / HOA dues savings.
Yeah, I see your point. Um, hmm. uh, yeah, it is there. The thing is, even when you do the tracker itself, is you can go ahead and change those categories. Okay,
Yeah.
meaning just cross it out and write any mortgage or whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I just
You
didn't
may
know
not
if
need
it
all
was
those
actually.
categories. You may just do, you know, half of them or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I kind of ended up doing is I used the spending plan builder, but then as I was tracking our expenses, there would end up being other categories that would come into play that you didn't necessarily have listed. So I kind of customized it, but it was very helpful to have the spending plan builder to go by because you had some things on there that I hadn't thought of too. So
Yeah, I tried to make it all inclusive.
Yeah.
So that we just give people ideas of what they should put on it,
yeah,
But so I
So
probably.
it does have debt payment. Debt payment is one of them, which is 8, but
That's true.
it's not necessarily straight out.
yeah, and that could just be put all of your debt in one thing, but I kind of like to itemize it out a little bit more than that, just to
Gotcha.
see.
Okay, we'll look forward to being, any other questions? Be delighted.
Hey, Peter, before we let everybody go, is there an assignment for not the Q&A, but our next session in June?
Yeah, it's principle 3 and the assignments in the back of 3.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
And just a reminder, I know we covered this on our Q&A a couple of weeks ago, but everyone now has access to the online course, which the manual is in the online course. All of the materials in there. You can actually download it, listen to it, listen to the audio. It's actually Peter's voice reading the book to you. If you don't want to sit down and read the book, you can actually listen to Peter recite page for page what's in the book. So that's available. Everybody should have received access to that. And actually little reminder emails that you've got that. So go in, register, and get your password and utilize that online course.
Bert, I've used it. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've been listening too. It's good. You really reinforce a lot before you even get to principle 1 about the money is emotional. You're hitting it pretty
haven't
hard.
listened
That
to
was good.
I haven't listened to them. I just keep printing out those forms and filling them out the way I think they ought to look so that I can give them to Becky and they look better.
Good.
I
Flexible.
don't do that. But I do print them out so we can work on them together.
That's wonderful.
All right. Any more questions before we go?
I would like one thing is when we come together in 2 weeks on the question and answer, bring success stories. When you're having these experiences and you say, I have an aha moment, bring those. We want to, let's share them with us, please.
Well, let me tell you one right now, just so that we can stop with that. But we sat down and we were working through chapter 3 and doing the work on there. And there are lots of things that you're asking for in the first worksheet in there about what you need to be saving for. And we don't have a lot of that broken down in our minds, I don't think. So, you have it's so you've got, emergency fund for us is okay. We already have one. So car replacement, well, for a long time I would put away $500 a month for car replacement. Well, we don't do that anymore. Our cars are in pretty good shape, but I told Becky, I said, when do you want to have a new car or another car? And so we came up with time. Home down payment. We came up with one because we're going to have to buy a house soon. Vacation time. We really we don't think about that when we go on vacation, but we don't think about it. So we put down a number there. The rest of them, we really don't have anything to really work towards on there because we don't have kids or anything like that. But it was a big number. But as I've been thinking about
one thing that happened though, I'm going to interrupt you. One thing that happened is when it came to vacation, it does give you the avenue to be able to dream. Like, we have a 50th wedding anniversary coming up in 5 years. I've always wanted to do a Viking cruise.
Oh yeah.
Part of my brain goes, oh, that's so expensive. But you know what? If you save for the next 5 years, then that's not a big deal. And so I think this does give you an avenue to be able to say, I can't afford this now, but you know what? If I save for it, I can afford it in 5 years. And that's the beauty of, I think, of doing this and planning for the future is you can achieve your dreams.
Yeah, and then if you look at part 2, calculating what it costs per month to do this, and we ran it out, and we looked at it, we go, wow, that's a big number. But then I thought about if we made a house payment right now, it would be somewhere close to that.
Yeah, the thing I learned that was
Pretty
so
easy.
powerful is you can have anything you want. You just can't have everything you want.
Right now.
Yeah, it seems silly to say that, but you can have anything. You just can't have everything. Means you're always prioritized. There'll always be somebody with more money, more toys than you do, Right?
Well, I thought it was after we did it, when we first looked at that number, we thought that's really big. And then I thought, man, it's really doable.
It really good. Well, it's been time tested by many and it's worked out so well for so many. So I'm just sharing that with you.
Thank you.
Quick thing, are you gonna send out like a calendar invite for that Q&A?
Yes.
Okay. It makes it me where I can't forget it, so.
Okay, will do. Thanks. Sure, good to be with you. Good audience.
Thank you.
Thanks
Peter.
so much,
All right.
Peter. Really
Yes.
appreciate you.
Oh, you're
Great to see
wonderful.